Hey there, good evening and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So it's our Sunday night show, which is called Ben's Album Challenge. And for those of you who don't know what that is, I have a subscriber, Ben, who's a friend of mine, who finds an album and then presents it to me, and then I review it. That's pretty much how it goes. I don't over-review it. I don't go through and find all the statistics and everything about it like I do with look back at a classic rock album. Most of the time, we're just reviewing this album. We're not doing a full-scale history of the thing. So, for today, the album that he's given me for this challenge is Asia's 1979 album, and so that there's no confusion here. This is not the supergroup Asia that came out in the 80s that featured John Wetton, Steve Howe, Jeff Downes, and Carl Palmer. This is not that group. This is a hard rock band that came out in, I'm not sure exactly when they came out, but the album was released in 1979. Pretty hard rocking album. Lots of really good harmony vocals. Overall, I would say it really has some real catchy riffs and beats to it. I really like a lot of the guitar soloing on it. Yeah, just like a lot of different elements here that are really solid. Ironically, I kind of find it funny that I don't like the vocalists individually. When they're singing an individual part, I don't really like the sound of their voice individually. Not really sure why that is, I just don't. However, when they sing together, it's really good. So I guess it's a kind of two negatives making a positive here. So anyway, so let's get into this album a bit more. So like I said, the album Asia, that's the name of the group, was released in 1979, and of course the name Asia was taken later by a supergroup, which I've already mentioned. Okay, there are 6 tracks on this, with the last track having 2 parts to it. I would say, and Ben likes me to give my favorite, so there was nothing under a 6 on this album, so it was a good solid album. My favorite track's probably the first track, Love May Be Gone, Son of Vivants, I think that's one, including Son of Vivants, so I guess it's a parts as well, even though they do not label any parts on this song. Really solid, heavy, catchy riff right at the beginning, and goes throughout most of the song. The dual vocals, harmonizing vocals, there's a drum bit at some point in the song. It's kind of I would like to say it's not a drum solo, nor is it a drum fill, but it's somewhere in between the two. So pretty solid too. The drummer and the bass player are pretty decent, and the rhythm guitarist is pretty decent as well. The main guy here, of course, is the lead guitarist. He's pretty good. He's a bit, I think, a bit of a notch above the other 3. Vocalist really solid on this track. Catchy as hell, this song, so I gave it an 8 because it's real catchy. I think the whole album is like that. It has a lot of catchy beats to it, catchy rhythms and catchy riffs. The second song, A Better Man for Leaving, gave this song a 7. Some pretty heavy riffing. Again, that dual vocals. This is the first time I catch a kind of a hint, just a hint of the Everly Brothers here in the vocal performance. Just when they were doing it, I kind of went immediately to the Everly Brothers, so that's how I know it's a bit of a hint. The guitar solo was very good. Excellent. He has a lot of fairly good guitar solos on this album. So that's a strong tune. The first 2 tunes are very strong. The next tune, Taming the Bull, another rocker, of course. Great guitar solo on this song. Maybe the best guitar solo on the album. Between this and the last song, I think. another heavy rocker, like I said. It starts out with a guitar bit, which is kind of soloish, but just a little bit of it. Got a real heavy part in the middle, and then it follows it with a bit of a mellow part, and then a heavy part again. Pretty solid song. Gave this one a 7 as well. More of that twin vocals, although not as much on this track as the previous two. So the next song is called King of the Road. This is probably the song I like the least of all the songs on the album, but it's not by any imagination. It's not a bad song. It's a good song. It's just, somebody has to be at the bottom, and so I'm thinking this is probably the one. It's got some really lengthy guitar solo at the beginning of the song. Some real bluesy guitar actually to open, and then you got more poppy than other. It's a little bit, this song's probably the most poppy of all the 6 tracks on the album. It's got its heavy parts, but there are some poppy parts in it as well. The lyrics are a bit. I found the lyrics a bit sappy on this tune as well. I didn't really care for them. I thought they were a little bit. I want to say Donny Osmond-ish. It doesn't sound like anything like Donny Osmond. It's just the lyrics kind of remind me of that. Some more those twin vocalings are really good on this particular track, though. All the twin vocalings on here are uppercase, like really good stuff. Then we have Law of the Land, which is the 5th track. Pretty heavy guitar riffing and solos to open this song. Kind of goes right into both right away. Got a real catchy kind of riff. And actually the solo is kind of catchy as well. Pretty heavy song overall. One of the heavier tracks on the album, I think. Got some real pounding drums parts on this as well, with a great solo. Yeah, it's everything you would want in a hard rock song. Lots of catchy riffs, lots of great soloing, lots of good solid vocals. All the things you like in a song. I gave this one a 7 too. Could have pushed it for an 8 here. Didn't quite make it. Okay, the last track on the album is a 2-parter. So it's called Requiem. Part A is AM Radio Blues, and Part B is Carnal Catacombs. Okay, so I'm not really sure where they differentiate the line between the 2 parts. I didn't hear anything that made me think, well, that's the end of Part A, this is the Part B. I didn't hear any of that. Maybe if I'd listened to it a few more times, I might have been able to discern it. I wasn't able to. So they do this kind of alternating, one guy sings and then the other guy sings. So as one guy's finishing singing, the other guy takes over, and then they do the twinning vocals. It's kind of neat sounding, but I don't really, like I said, I don't really like their voices individually. Together they sound fantastic though. I think the problem with their individual vocals is they're very high and they almost don't suit the music, I think. But when they sing together, it gets really kind of special in a special way, which adds to the whole song. Yeah, it starts with a kind of a forlorn guitar. Then some twin harmonies come in, followed by this kind of heavy riffing guitar and lots of solo bits throughout that part. The bass and drums are very heavy on this track as well. What else can I say? Other than the alternating, the difference between this song and the previous 5 is that there's this alternating dual singing solos and then the twinning part together. Really a solid sound. I gave this song a 7 too. So for those of you counting, we have 4 7s, a 6, and an 8. Sorry. The 8 was a nice start to the album. It really captures your attention. I would say overall, this is pretty hard rock. I'm trying to think of a group that they don't really sound like anybody. they're heavy. They might be as heavy as Mutations and Mystery, the Blue Oyster Cult album, the heavier Blue Oyster Cult. They are almost as heavy as that. I don't think they have quite the sound though. That album is full. The sound is very full sounding. This is kind of a little bit thin. Yeah, it's some great guitar, but there's lots of spots where when the guitar is ebbing, there's like a quiet part, so it's not as full. There's not as much backing sound as there is on that particular album. But it's very reminiscent of that heaviness, though. Overall, I'd say this is a very good album. I'm surprised. I think they only did the one album. It's another like White Wing thing. It's unfortunate too, because both these albums, this one and White Wing albums, I'd like to have, but probably would be very difficult to find. And I'm not a person that listens to his music online. The only time I listen to my music online is when I'm making a video and I don't happen to have that particular album, so I have no choice but to listen to it online. But normally I do not listen to it online. I don't have Spotify. I don't have iTunes. Yeah, I just rarely listen to stuff online unless it's related to what I'm doing and I don't happen to have the album. Generally speaking, I like to listen to it on my stereo system or on the TV set, or I put it in the other one in here. I used to have a nice set of headphones, but I broke those, so I've got to get a new ones. I don't think this is a headphones album anyways. Definitely this needs to be cranked. Yeah, it's a crank me up album, I think. I can't really get that when I'm online with it. I know a lot of people like to download their music offline and just have it on their phone and listen to it that way. Yeah, that's not me. I can't do that. I like owning the physical element. The physical element is what I like to have, and there's reasons for it. I like to listen to the entire album from front to back in its original state. That's one of the reasons. The other reason I don't really like stuff online is because, you know, if something happens and you lose your online stuff, it's gone. But you know, your CDs aren't going anywhere. You know, the other thing is, if I want to take this somewhere and play it somewhere else, I can, and I don't have to take my phone with me, which is great because I don't like carrying my phone. So these are some of the reasons. There's other reasons too, but at any rate, now I don't remember where I got this, so I'll just leave it here for now. Anyways, it was a really good, solid album. You know, I recommend, you know, if you want to listen to it, you punch in Asia 1979 and it'll give you a list of different venues for it, and the one I chose was the one that says Asia 1979 full album. I listened to it. To me, usually that's the one that's the original, and I usually most of the time prefer the original album. Although nowadays when you get the original, it often has bonus tracks. That's fine too. Yeah, so I'll look for it. I'll put it on my list, the same as I did with the White Wing and some of the other ones, the Sensational Alex Harvey band. I'll look for that, but the chances are not too good to find it. But you know, put it out there anyways. You might find it somehow. It depends on how much you're willing to pay for it. The only problem with hard rock albums is that I tend to like them a lot at first, and then they gradually fade. Where I don't get that same with the prog albums, tends to take longer to get into them and much longer to lose interest in them. Okay, so there you have it. Ben's album challenge for Sunday. What is this? Is this the 22nd, I believe? Yep. Sunday, January 22nd. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And make your comments. If you've heard this album, great. If you need to listen to it, that's what you punch in, Asia 1979. Otherwise, you'll get the other band, and you don't want that. So please come back next week, and we'll be back with yet another album. So take care and have yourself a great night. Bye.